Alright, lesson 5, Eukaryotes. How does organelle structure affect its function? Eu means new, and this is due to the fact that eukaryotes evolved from prokaryotes. In fact, some of the organelles found in eukaryotes used to be prokaryotes and still have their circular prokaryotic DNA. That's mitochondria and chloroplasts. Eukaryotes include all life on Earth except bacteria. Like prokaryotes, eukaryotes have a cytoplasm, plasma membrane, ribosomes, and some, like plants, have a cell wall made of cellulose. Unlike prokaryotes, eukaryotes have linear DNA, which means it's arranged in a series of straight lines that can wind up into chromosomes. And unlike prokaryotes, they have membrane-bound organelles, which means they have structures that have their own membranes. So, pro have no, you do. This is due to the fact that eukaryotic cells are much more complex and also much larger. They need to keep their different reactions separate from each other, so they have 4 different organelles, which are like cell organs, with their own membranes. I like to think of this kind of like a house that has specific rooms for specific things. In a prokaryotic cell, everything's happening in the same room. In eukaryotic cells, everything's more complex, so they got to break the rooms up and put walls around them so everything can be contained. The nucleus is the boss because it holds the DNA. And again, membrane-bound organelle only in eukaryotes, so bacteria will never have a nucleus. The mitochondria are the powerhouses of the cell because they produce the energy that the cell needs. And we'll look at this process in the next unit. Chloroplasts, which are only found in plant cells, are the site of photosynthesis that makes food for the cell. Both the mitochondria and the chloroplasts have very folded membranes that allows for greater surface area for the reactions to happen. Notice in the mitochondria, it's got all these folds inside. The chloroplast has all these little hockey puck looking things. It just increases the amount of membrane, which allows for more reaction to happen. Finally, the vacuole provides storage for food and water. They're present in all eukaryotic cells, but are generally much bigger in plant cells. So your cells have these as well, but they're very, very large in plant cells. All right, so let's look real quick at a comparison of prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. So remember, prokaryotes are small, simple, unicellular, and they have no membrane-bound organelles. That's a huge thing. They also have circular DNA and plasmids. Eukaryotes, on the other hand, much larger, much more complex. They can be unicellular and multicellular. They do have membrane-bound organelles, and their DNA is linear. Now, both of these cells types, however, they both have RNA, they both have DNA, they both have a plasma membrane, cytoplasm, ribosomes, and at least some examples of each have a cell wall. All right, now if we look at the organelles themselves, so if you notice over here, we have all the different organelles, we have their function, and then we're going to look at whether they're found in prokaryotic cells, and then animals and plants. So if we look at plasma membrane, cytoplasm, ribosomes, every cell on the face of this earth, regardless of what it is going to have a plasma membrane around it, that cytoplasm, that fluid inside, and ribosomes to make proteins. Now, if we look at the nucleus, mitochondria, chloroplasts, and vacuoles, remember we just said those are your membrane-bound organelles. So prokaryotic cells, not going to have them. So let's go now to the cell wall. Prokaryotic cells, some do. Plants, those do. But animals don't. You're squishy. You don't have a cell wall. Nucleus, both plants and animals. Mitochondria, both plants and animals. Chloroplasts, plants do, you don't. You're not green, you can't do photosynthesis. And then a vacuole, they both do, but remember, it's a lot bigger in the plants. So I really think that this chart right here is something that you need to really go through and make sure you understand, because this chart shows you what the organelles are that you have to know, what they do, and where they're found. And that's going to be very important for you to be able to answer these questions.